Well, hello everybody, and thanks for joining us for the webinar. Today we just want to look at a very simple three-step process that can help your team improve. And this is an extension of what we normally do with XGAP. Obviously, our main focus is to try and help people close the gap between what their plan or strategy says should happen and what actually occurs in practice. In this particular case, very similar, but we're just looking at a team in any circumstance, the potential of that team, looking at its current performance and giving you a very simple discipline that might allow you to try and improve their current performance and get them closer to the potential that they have. We're just going to go through three very simple steps, why you need an improvement discipline, how you can use the simple three-step process, and finally how it can be applied in various situations, including predominantly some of the clients we've worked with and how they've chosen to use it. So let's just start with the first thing, why you would actually need an improvement discipline separate from your normal operation and systems and processes. Sort of a question to ask yourself, why do you think it is that sports teams actually watch videotape? You can go into any sports team these days, even some junior sports teams and B graders, and you'll find a lot of them actually watching videotape, analysing their performance, looking at replays, and essentially the purpose of this, and it's something that's become extremely important in the development of sports teams and individual sports people these days, is it's quite a simple, straightforward process. They're actually putting an extreme focus on their performance. They're looking for what the stuff that's going well, what's working, what's not working. But ultimately, what they're really trying to do is they're trying to find ways to improve. And the analysis of the videotape obviously helps them do that. Now, obviously in business, we don't have the benefit of watching a videotape and making it that simple. But I do think that in most of the businesses, at least we've worked with over the last 10 or 15 years, it's unusual to see someone that has a very, very specific discipline around analysing their performance and trying to find ways to make it better. So the discipline we're suggesting here can be used in a variety of different ways. Let's just have a look at what we call triple R, or a simple three-step process that can be used pretty much in any circumstance with any team. The triple R basically stands for result, reason and response. And the process that we ask teams to work through is simply to ask themselves what's working at this particular point in time and what's not working. Once we've established that, we look at a couple of the things that people have suggested, and then we try and drill down and find out what's the reason behind that performance. What's the reason we're so good at it, or why is it not working the way we expected to work? And under reason, the idea is to drill down so far and ask so many questions that ultimately you've peeled the onion back so far that you understand clearly the root cause behind the performance, whether it's good or bad. Having done that, it's much easier then to go to the third step, which is the response, and identify some specific actions you can take or what you can do differently that's going to help your team improve. I'm going to walk you through how we would do this in a workshop, and it may help you to be able to do it with your team. It's very simple and straightforward, but we've found it to be very effective. If you can get a whiteboard or a chart and just draw a line down the middle, and on one side put a happy face and on the other side put a sad face, perhaps ask your team to personally just write down on a piece of paper before they start writing on the whiteboard the things they think are working, the things they think are not working, and you can focus on a specific component of what your team is working on, a project perhaps. You could focus on the team generally. You could really identify the topic of this performance improvement in any way you wish. But once you've had each person write down exactly what they think's working and what's not, just have them grab a whiteboard pen or a marker and just put their ideas on the chart. Once they've done that, then have a bit of a discussion around which one of these that we've put down is going to have the greatest impact on our performance. Which is the one that we think, if we really work at it and we try and improve it, is going to have a significant impact on the way we currently perform. Now I might just show you a chart from a workshop that we've run. You'll see pretty much both sides filled out equally, and there's been some discussion around which ones this particular team thinks are important or not important. The fact about this is you can actually do these first two steps without too much discussion. You could have people just write their ideas on the board without necessarily discussing it. You can actually have them vote once all the ideas are up. You can have them vote for the one they think is going to have the greatest impact on performance. And so you can get to this a good consensus, get everyone's ideas without really too much debate and discussion. We find this is quite an open way to do things. Sometimes if you allow discussion too early, the group can tend to be influenced by those with perhaps stronger personalities and a bit more to say. So a good way to do this, we think, is not to have too much discussion in these first two steps. Just out of interest, normally what we would find, I would say in 90% of the cases, when we say to people, of all the things you've listed on what's working and what's not, what do you think will impact the business most, 90% of the time they will pick something from the not working side, and obviously that seems to be quite normal. But there's nothing to say that if you have something that is working exceptionally well, you can't drill down on that particular aspect and try and make sure that it's embedded in the way you do your business, or it's shared in order to try and leverage the fact that you've done something very successful. So once you've put them all down and people have decided, right, this is the one or two things we need to focus on, the next step is to drill down and find out, why is it that this has been so successful, or why is it that this is not working, that we're being challenged by this. And in this particular section, you really can't ask enough questions. The more questions you ask, the better your answer is going to be. Sometimes you may get some resistance when you ask, why is this happening? You might get an excuse. But the more times you ask why, the closer you will get to the actual heart of the problem, the root cause. Once you've got to that point, once you've found out this is really at the heart of the reason we're not doing this so well, it becomes very easy then to go to the next step, which is to write a very specific and clear response. And in this particular part, the response, we're not really looking for 15 or 20 things to do. We're trying to come up with one or two things, simple things that the team can focus on that will help them actually improve this situation, or if they've been doing it well, it will help them embed that particular behavior or system or process or performance into what they would normally do. So, result, some working and not working, select one, perhaps two, drill down, find out the root cause, and then come up with a very specific action that will help you improve your performance. Let's just look at a couple of different ways that we've found this has been applied. The first, I guess we could look here at, we've seen it used in a multitude of situations, but you could use it essentially as part of your normal team discipline, something you do on a regular basis, perhaps weekly, fortnightly, or monthly. You could use it as part of a project that you're doing, consistently asking yourself how the project's going, what's working and what's not. If you do a repeated task or job, something that is you're constantly doing, you can institute this to try and find better ways to do it, more effective, more efficient ways in which to do it. Or what you might want to do is you could focus on a specific part of your business. Let's look at how we launch this product. Let's look at how we're selling this particular marketing program. Let's look at how we do our accounting. Let's look at our IT system. I mean, you could actually identify any particular part of your business that you wanted to focus on and really drill down and use this three-step process to help you improve. Here's a couple of examples that we've seen with some of our clients. This is a IT sales team based in San Francisco, and they actually conduct one of these weekly. But what they do, which we found interesting, and actually we thought it was a great idea, is they actually on their whiteboard at the beginning of the week have consistently on the whiteboard this happy face and sad face, what's working and what's not. And at any point during the week, people can add to that whiteboard. So, you know, if something happens during the week, during the course of work, that somebody thinks, well, you know, that's not really that good or that's great, they actually just go and put it on the whiteboard. Then on Friday afternoon, for about half an hour, they bring the team together, gather around the whiteboard, and they just go through the process. They identify the one that they really want to work on. They come up with some specific actions, and they decide, okay, this is how we're going to approach this. So it's become inherently part of how these guys conduct their weekly business. This is a pharmaceutical company we work with in Taiwan. They actually do it quarterly, so they're looking consistently each quarter at getting their whole group together and conducting a workshop that could, I think, probably last an hour or two. And they're trying to identify the things that are working for them, the things that aren't, and maybe 2 or 3 ways that they can do things better. So it's a whole team, whole group of people in the company get together to do this on a quarterly basis. Here's a more unique one. This is an oil rig off the Western Australian coast. These guys, obviously, when you're working on an oil rig, it's a very dangerous environment. So one of the key focus points is always safety. And what they've instituted is with every team on every shift, they go through this 3-step process. They look at on the job that they've just done in the last shift, the things that are working, the things that aren't. They look constantly for 1 or 2 things they think they can improve, and they come up with you know, a couple of key steps to improve. There's enormous power in this when you figure out that you've got every single team on that rig after every single shift consistently looking for ways to do things safer or more effectively. And this particular group had an enormous improvement in their performance just by handing this type of discipline to the frontline people and allowing them to come up with their thoughts on how to improve. And here's one final one. Our former cricket captain Ricky Ponting, when we had the great opportunity to work with the Australian cricket team about 3 or 4 years ago, used to, after every day's play, go through pretty much exactly the same process. So here's basically the 3-step process. It's you know, get the result out, what's working, what's not, identify 1, perhaps 2 things, drill right down, find out what the root cause is, and then come up with some very specific actions, things that you might do differently. In the first 2 steps, you need to get absolute clarity, as clear as you can possibly be on what's working and what's not, and the reason for it. And then when you come up with the response, it has to be very clear and specific, not grey in any way. And we're always recommending 1, 2, perhaps 3 at most specific actions that the team can take, setting a time frame to them and allocating some responsibility. So result, reason, and response. Thanks for your time. I hope it's been of some value.